It's 5 o'clock. I'm calling the meeting to order. One point first is the sheets out there that are normally the pink sheets. They're white right now, and there's two public comment sheets. One is for the regular public comment, and the other is for the public hearing, which will be in item E. So with that, we're calling the meeting to order. Susan, do you have a motion?
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to pull item F, janitorial services.
I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And then I also would like to have a motion to do item K as action, and if we can't do it as action, how does it go forward to the council?
It cannot be an action item tonight. It would need to be run through council president. So it's not in a state right now to go for action tonight. So we have to kind of restart the process to go through. Is normal process get added for an action item?
Yeah, it has to be advertised as an action item.
So it was requested to be an action item, why wasn't it? I mean, we didn't see the agenda until this morning after I asked where the packet was.
My understanding was the flag policy was really more of to have a discussion on what the policy is, not to amend the flag policy, which is why, for tonight's purposes, the flag policy is really just, I'll explain to the council what the policy is, answer any questions the council has on what the policy currently is. But that's why it's an information-only item.
So then how does it move forward to council? It has to be walked on?
Well, I mean, it can be added, let me get the council rules.
Two council members can walk on an item.
True. What is the goal that the council is trying to do? Are you trying to amend the policy? Or what exactly is the?
To have a council discussion.
Well, I think the discussion can be walked on if the two council members vote to do that.
I mean, with an information item, we can have a discussion with the information item.
True.
Yeah.
Right, but we're not amending the policy tonight, if that's the question.
Correct, but I'd like to see it move on from, so generally something goes from a committee to the council meeting with the committee's yes, no, or whatever. So how does something that's listed for information, does that move on to the council, full council?
It doesn't usually, I don't believe.
Okay.
I think
That's my
really,
question.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Paul, did you want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, I'll make the comment more on informational, but I was told by legal that the only way to actually have action is to have action here to move it forward so that then something can be done there. I've also got an email, you weren't privy to it, but it did have a list of requests. I'll hand it to you just to take a breeze through, but I'll bring up most of my comments during the information then.
All right. All right. With that, we overlooked here at our meeting today, we have committee member Susan Honda, excuse committee member Lydia Sepidawson, unless she joins us on the line, which she's not online, is she? Okay. And present, we have Council President Linda Kochmar, Council Member Jack Dovey, and Council Member Paul McDaniel. And so with that, do we have any public comment? Okay, public comment. Did you do a sheet? Okay, go ahead. And let us know your name, where you live, and you have 3 minutes.
You got it.
Comment.
My name is John Gilliland. I'm the Chief Impact Officer for Habitat for Humanity, Seattle, King, and Kittitas counties. And I'm here just to make a little public comment about the funding that is up and that we would like to see continued so that we can continue to make a great impact in federal way. I run our new construction and repair teams, And the new construction team gets all the attention. Everybody knows about Jimmy Carter's history. Everybody knows about volunteering and building community through that volunteer program and creating affordable home ownership. But many folks don't know that we actually make as big of an impact or bigger with our repair program. We do over 100 projects a year, and we've done 46 in the last year and a half to 2 years here in Federal Way. And what those are home preservation projects for current homeowners so that we can do a little bit of anti-displacement work, assist with home preservation and aging in place, and perform critical home repairs, minor home repairs, and other projects within our repair program to aid in that home preservation. So I'm here just to beseech everybody to continue that funding and allow us to continue to make a positive impact with our repair program in Federal Way through 2025 and 2026 contract awards. And if possible, I would also like to just provide 30 or 45 seconds to one of our homeowners so that she may add a little comment about the repair program's impact on her life.
Has she signed up for public comment?
I thought I would be able to include
Okay.
her with mine. Is that not okay?
Generally, for public comment, you're not allowed to give your time to somebody else, but she could.
But she can
fill out the
certainly,
form, though.
yeah, you can go ahead and make public comment, but make sure you fill out a form
Oh, we'll do
afterwards,
that.
okay?
Dina Zimmerman, please. Thank you very much.
My name is Dina Zimmerman. I'm a homeowner here in Federal Way. I don't have a lot of funds, so when my roof was leaking last year, the Federal Way tried to help me, but nobody took the bid on my job, so they handed the paperwork to Habitat for Humanity. I didn't have to spend the winter with the leaky roof. So, yeah, they've helped me so much. So, anything you guys can do to help them is really appreciated by not only me, but a lot of homeowners in Federal Way.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you for your comment. Thank you very much. All right. Is there any additional public comment? All right. Let's go on to item A, approval of the summary minutes for our September 9th meeting.
I move approval of the minutes of September 9th, 2025.
Second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. It is approved unanimously. On to item B, amendment number 1 to the flock safety camera programs, and I believe it's Deputy Chief Casey Jones.
Correct. This is an amendment to the current flock contract, which we established a year or 2 years ago. This new amendment's more of an addition. We'd be adding 2 more cameras in addition to the 4 that we already have. And we would also be taking 8 of the Safe City cameras that we have, the Safe City license plate readers, and sending that data to Flock for digesting in the Flock system. It's a 2-year addition to the contract, about $23,000 per year and this would involve the funds that council set aside last year, $50,000. We got it right up to, I think, $49,000 with Flock.
All right. Any questions from the council?
Oops. Thanks for being here. So I had heard a few months ago that Flock had gotten so busy, the company, that they were somewhat behind on providing services to cities that were signing up. Is that still the case?
It took us a long time to get the first 4 cameras installed. They did deliver, and we've had some successes with them recovering stolen vehicles. We anticipate that this one, there'll probably also be delays, but it hasn't been unreasonable. They are expanding.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I don't have any comments.
Hey, Thank you.
Council President.
hi, thank you, Deputy Chief. Can you, we had asked the legislature to provide $250,000 in our legislative agenda last year for flock cameras, and we did not receive that. How much do they cost, each camera?
They are between $3,000 and $5,000 each.
So 250,000 would have given you a whole series of cameras.
Yeah, and if that gets brought up again with the legislatures, we have plans to do it, but just unfortunately wasn't funded this time around for that.
So you'd like to see that again
Yeah, for
as a
sure.
request?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I move to forward the proposed, oh,
I had a
Sorry.
question, sorry.
All right,
hold off.
Councilmember Dovey.
Hold off a second. Can you clarify, the money that we're budgeting towards these, in 3 years, will we need to reallocate the same amount of money for the next 2 if everything stayed the same price?
That's correct.
So this is a reoccurring fee that we're committing to that's going to go on in forever at 50,000 if we keep these 2?
As long as, if we want
For
to
every
keep
2
them,
years.
or until something better comes along, or something less. Yes, yes,
Okay, so we're spending, what, $2,000 per month per camp?
right.
Okay, okay, thank you.
So you might
Councilor-
want to explain what a flock camera is so people who are listening would know.
So they are license plate readers that takes a picture of the license plate and checks it against the National Crime Index hot list, a list of stolen cars. And when a stolen car drives through a camera area, it sends a notification to police officers to the direction of travel, where it went. We can also do searches. We had a case in Federal Way where an infant was kidnapped, and we didn't have flock at that point, but a neighboring jurisdiction did. We asked them, hey, have you seen a description of the car? They were able to put that data into their flock system, and it pulled up our suspect vehicle. We coordinated with our federal partners who were able to see where the vehicle had been. We found it on I-90, and they found the baby in a box, a cardboard box, in the backseat of this car out by Ellensburg. But that's an example of how the license plate readers work.
And so would I be accurate in saying that if I were a person interested in protecting the criminal, let's say, I would not want the flock camera. But if I were interested in public safety, I would want flock cameras.
That's accurate.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah. Does the flock do anything other than the license plate? You said you can give it a make and model. Does it do make and models too?
You can tell the type of cars, too, yes.
Okay, and does it do anything with facial, or is it strictly vehicle?
There is no facial recognition, and it does not do people.
Just vehicles
The
and
ones we
license
have
plates?
get cameras from the back, from the rear, sees the rear license plate. And additionally, they don't do facial.
But they can distinguish between colors and, for the most part, shapes, or just models and makes?
Yes.
Okay.
And recognizable cars, too, like, if you could spot a BMW versus a Honda Accord or something.
Did we store the data, or is it just when you need it, it's on demand?
Data stored in the cloud.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Honda.
What is the difference between the flock camera system and the Safe City system?
The Safe City kit system is actual cameras that we can pan and tilt and zoom around. The flock system just takes a solo picture, not video.
Thank you.
And it takes it of the license plate, zoomed in on the license plate.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Dovey.
Just one more question. This is basically a 2-year agreement. Do they offer discounts if you, once you have them, you're not going to get rid of them. Do they offer discounts if you go 5 years or 4 years, or are we just doing the 2 years because we have 50,000 and that was the easy decision?
I've not seen that they offer discounts similar to Flock. Similar to Axon. Axon is doing those kinds of discounts for longer contracts. Flock hasn't done that yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Honda.
All right, I'm back. I move to forward the proposed flock safety agreement to the October 21st, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
I second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. Thank you, Deputy Chief. All right, on to item C, AWC CQC Scholarship Program in Federal Way. And our own Amy Glandon.
Good evening, committee members and council members. My name is Amy Glandon, and I'm here tonight on a program that has perked your interest and is a great opportunity for the city. This is the Association of Washington Cities Center for Quality Communities Student Scholarship Program, which is quite a mouthful, but what it is a program where students who are well-connected within the city with volunteer work and civil service, and our seniors with plans to continue their education post-high school and are in a position to be able to graduate this year, will be able to apply for a scholarship through the Association of Washington Cities. It is a $3,000 scholarship to the winner. There were 3 winners this last year. The winners are then brought to the annual conference for recognition and celebration. There is no cost to the city associated above staff time for the rubrics and the going through the applications. I had the privilege of meeting with Jake and Brianna, who are overseeing the Youth Commission, to be able to talk with them about this program, and they were really excited about it. I know that council is pretty excited about it. So tonight, it's about, are we ready to do this or not? So that is the question before you.
All right, thank you, Amy. And also, we learned today that next year, rather than 3 scholarships, it'll be 4 scholarships.
Yes.
But still,
And that just came out
$3,000.
today.
Yes, that came out today, so we're delighted about that. So thank you for working with this, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I am very happy that we're finally going to be doing this. Every year when I am at the conference and other cities, many of the cities around us are on the stage introducing their amazing youth that are being awarded a scholarship. I know that we have youth in the city of Federal Way who are just as amazing and who should be getting a scholarship. So I'm glad we're finally doing this. Thanks for your work on it.
Yeah. Yeah, with these youth that get it, generally some of the best speeches at the Association of Washington Cities aren't from the other people, professionals presenting it. It's from the young people with accepting the scholarships, and they're absolutely amazing. Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, it mentions there's a rubric. Is it open to any youth in the Fedway area? Is it the school district? Is there any restrictions on who is allowed to be entered into this?
So for this initial program, because we don't know what the level of interest is, as well as the requirements from Association of Washington Cities, in talking with legal, in talking with City Administrator Brian Davis, and then in talking with the Youth Commission, opening it up to our Youth Commission seniors, because they are plugged in with volunteer work and civil service. So for this year, it would be open to the seniors of the Youth Commission. Now, if there is a large interest or a want to expand it out to all of Federal Way, that's a bigger impact. It's also a bigger workload. So currently just keeping it smaller to entice more students to join the Youth Commission, get involved, and have an opportunity to do this as well.
So for the first initial run, we're going to just do some seniors on the Youth Commission, and depending on how that goes, we may expand it if it turns out to be worthwhile.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I believe that we have the AWC leaves it up to the individual city to set the parameters for the applicants.
That is correct, and I did speak with 37 of the cities who have done this program before to get a basis of how they run their program, and a majority of them are open solely to their youth councils or youth commissions because it satisfies the requirement there.
How many seniors do we have on the commission?
That one I will have to ask Jake. I don't know.
Phone a friend.
4 or 5 seniors this year.
Is that with the new, the 2 new appointees? Thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other comments? All right, this is exciting to be finally implementing it. We have waited a long time for it. So do we have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed participation in the AWC CQC Student Scholarship Program to the October 21st, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Very excited. And thank you, Amy, for your hard work on that. Next, we go on to item D, King County Parks Levy Aquatic Facilities Grant Acceptance. And, all right.
Good evening.
ahead.
Chair Walsh and Council President Kochmar and committee and council members. First, I'd just like to say I haven't broken anything yet today in the pool area, so we're still going strong. Yes, it's been a great day. Second, I wanted to introduce Jake Pyatt here. He's our aquatics coordinator over at the community center, and couldn't have done this without him, certainly. He has a big job to do every single day. But before you, we have a policy question, is should the city council accept the $1.525 million funding from the King County Parks Levy Aquatics Facilities Grant Program for the Federal Way Community Center? And we will be able to do many different things throughout with this funding within the pool system. So we will be replastering the lap pool area. So just like our leisure pool was plastered 2 years ago, we'll be able to do the same thing with our lap pool. We will be able to replace the pool boilers and our entire heating system. And then we will also revamp our pump room as well. So we may be able to put those pumps on the shelves that we talked about before and do those major projects.
Fantastic. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. And what is the total cost of the project?
It would be, that is the total cost of the project, would be that 1.525 million.
So does it have to go out for a bid or something?
Yes, we will have to go out for bid. We're not 100% sure of all of the particulars. We may be able to coincide with a couple of other ESCO programs that we're looking at to utilize that for the pool boiler and pool mechanical systems. But at the moment, we'll probably have to go out to bid for at least one portion of that.
So I don't see a
We're not there yet.
Breakdown.
We don't
Okay.
have a signed contract with King County yet, but once that's done, we'll come back before we go out to do those. This is just as a grant acceptance.
okay, thank you.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Was this grant expected, or was this something that just happened to pop up you guys were able to take advantage of?
Yeah, so several months ago, it came up that we had a very short timeline to apply for it. So once we applied, we had known about the grant, but not when it was going to reopen, because they had this grant 4 or 5 years ago. We went for a small amount at that time. We were doing our slide reconstruction, and then it reopened again. We weren't 100% sure of what that timeline was, but once it reopened, we had a couple weeks to apply, and then we had to go.
Oh, right on. And then, does this take off quite a few items that are on your guys' to-do list for
Yes.
maintenance and facilities?
Yes, this
Okay.
should significantly increase the lifespan, increase efficiency, help us reduce electricity, energy costs at the center, and reduce any time that might come from a catastrophic failure. So it
Gotcha.
will be a boon to our entire facility.
Oh, understood. And then you said that the 10 to 15 years, what was the original game plan for the replacement of those boilers? Was it one of those things that we had planned out in the next 2 years, or was it?
For the entire replacement, we did not have a plan for that, so we were just kind of fixing as the repairs stacked up on each other.
Okay. And I can't remember, did we have a boiler or something that was recently fixed in this one, or was that different?
You're correct. We did have there's a series of 3 boilers. One did have to be, its entire heat exchanger had to be replaced, and that was one of the large fixes.
Gotcha. And is this going to be doing the other 2 then?
This will be, we're not 100% sure on what that kind of layout would be, but we're looking at whatever we can do, whether we have a series parallel or if we just have one single boiler. We're going to kind of see what the recommendations are from some professionals and then see what makes the most sense to go in that space. But it will be 100% new.
Okay. And then my last question is going to be is, if you guys go out for bid and it turns out that it costs a little bit more, would you guys take something off, or would you guys look to find additional funding just to make sure we can get it all done at once?
Not sure yet, but we would probably hopefully look to see if we could increase the cost to get that all done at one time. We're looking to make sure all 3 projects happen at the same time. That way we minimize any type of closures that we have.
I take it back at one more. How long would lap pool be down if you guys have to do the replaster?
Don't have that timeline yet, but we anticipate maybe a couple months for that.
Okay.
All right. And this was a competitive grant, correct? Or-
Yes.
All right, all right. Great job on doing that. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, Paul asked my one question, or one of the questions. I just want to confirm, if we win this bid and we do this work, the lap pool will be closed for 2 months? Is that what I kind of heard?
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
And we would also have to close the leisure pool for a portion of that time while we replace all the pumps, all the heating systems. And then we would reopen the leisure pool much quicker than we would the lap pool. But at the end of the day, everything at that point within our aquatics facility would have been revamped.
Okay, so what time of the, I mean, I know you're bidding on this grant, you got to go through this process. Are we going to try to close it when people are using it less and not go through the last?
Yeah, we're coordinating with all of the different coordinators, programs. It doesn't make sense for us to close down during the summer when we've got camp and everything else is so busy. So we're going to do it at whatever time in the facility has the least impact.
Okay. And taking this grant doesn't affect the recent parks levy that came out,
No.
correct? This is up and above, beyond?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Honda?
This is just a random question, I guess, but how are the locker rooms doing? Are they going to be impacted by this, or?
They
will
should
everything-
not,
Okay.
no.
Would they be finished by the time you start this?
Well, I'm not going to say yes, but it should be,
Okay. They should, right?
yes.
I thought I heard you say they should,
Yes,
and then I
we
went,
hope to
wait.
have a long duration in between when the locker rooms are reopened and we start this project that way, so people
Okay.
get some,
Let's-
lull time to experience the entire facility open for a while.
Less impact to the public who uses the
Yes.
facility. Do we still have swim teams, high school swim teams who use the pool?
Yes, so the high school swim seasons are broken up, boys and girls. So it's going to be a little tricky to not have one of them impacted, again, depending on the duration of this project. But yes, we have the high school teams. We also have a synchro group that uses the facility year-round, along with club swim team that leaves during the summertime.
So at some point, some of those groups will be impacted.
Yes, yes.
Have we been talking to them, letting them know so they can plan ahead to get into another facility?
Not yet at this time. Once we've signed the grant contract, we'll kind of start our planning phase to see when that may happen. So they'll have at least 6 months of a lead time before any of the projects take place.
Yeah.
So then this isn't happening immediately because it's not an
No, correct.
emergency like our other issue had
Correct.
been? It could be happening next year.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
So we're doing this to get ahead of any emergency?
correct.
Okay.
Good.
And
For
I
once.
believe we just heard that we were awarded the grant just in the last week or 10 days,
Yes,
correct?
that is correct.
All right, all right, great job on you guys' part. Councilmember Honda.
I move to forward the acceptance of the $1,525,000 funding from the King County Parks Levy Aquatic Center. This is one long sentence. The whole thing is a sentence.
Yes,
For the Federal Way Community Center pool renovation to the October 21st, 2025 City Council consent agenda for approval.
You can take a breath now.
Thank you.
Right, I second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Great job. Great job. We like things on the agenda like this. So, all right, next, okay, item E. It's the 2026 CDBG SURF Annual Action Plan. And first, we are going to open up a public hearing for that. So the public hearing is open. Do we have anybody? Okay. All right, David.
Thank you, commission members and council members for being here tonight. I'm David Harrison, Executive Director of Fusion and Federal Way, and if those of you who are not familiar with what we do, we provide emergency shelter and transitional housing for families experiencing homelessness in our community. I also want to thank you for being here tonight because I can't think of a better way to celebrate my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Michelle said, do you want to go out for a steak dinner for your birthday? And I said, no, I really want to go to council chambers and give public testimony. So thank you for being here. As you know, the need for services for families in our community have never been greater. Fusion has stepped up in ways never thought possible in the last couple of years to really meet the need and grow and serve more families. And I'm grateful for the continued support that Federal Way, the City of Federal Way provides to our organization to help us keep going forward. The Human Services Commission has a recommendation that we wanted to stop and say, thank you very much for supporting us, and we strongly support the recommendation that you will soon see. There are a couple of projects in the project request for replacing the roof at the boutique and the cafe, replacing some refrigeration needs at the cafe, a new walk-in cooler at the cafe, and also upgrading the security cameras at the Family Center, which is a high priority project for us going forward. So this support of Fusion in our programs allows us to continue to deliver the great results we have been able to provide for citizens in our area. And I just want to say thank you very much for the ongoing support, and happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything.
All right. Looks like we don't have any questions. We know Fusion. We know that you do a fantastic job. I considered our key homegrown nonprofit here that does just a tremendous amount of good.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you for the work that you have carried on since you've taken the helm there.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have additional public comment?
Thank you very much for having us this evening. My name is Hamdi Abdul. I am the CEO of African Community Housing and Development. We do a good job. We work so hard. And we come for support always because we can't be without it. African Community Housing and Development supports at least 10,000 people a year, which are mainly from Federal Way and come from other cities as well. We truly appreciate the recommendation and we hope to serve. And with your support, we are expecting that we are granted for the request that we have asked. We support small business most of the time. At these critical times, we value your support and we appreciate your time to listening to me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. All right. Rich?
My name's Rich Shockley, and this is my colleague Fawn Sivongsai. We're here to speak about the funding that's been proposed for our Start Zone program. It's part of our Highline Business Development Center, and this is the program that works with low and moderate income households and underserved communities. We've been supported through the city for a number of years, and we thank you for that. And we want to ask the continued support for the program. We have had some good results. We've been able to bring in our Spanish-speaking advisors to do some very specific, meet some needs here in the community. And we're currently working on a special loan program that's been brought to us by one of our funding partners. It's a trial program, and we hope that it would expand. And I'd like Fawn Sivongsai, our program manager, just to share a little bit about what that is. Again, it's a trial program, and we've just started into that.
Thank you. The loan program that Rich is referring to is the Bridge Builder, and it's a small, up to about $15,000, but it has low interest bearing, and that's very crucial for a lot of our small businesses that need access to capital. It's not just the access to capital, but it's also low bearing interest rate, so that payment is not huge for them. And then this program also, it's not the traditional underwriting, it's kind of outside the box, meaning that, you know, they're trying to bring funding to local small businesses that might not qualify for a traditional loan, but do need help. And so this is what we're trying to bring into the Federal Way businesses. And so anything else you want to add to that, Rich? Thank you, and thank you for your support, continued support. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. All right. Oh, and we have somebody on Zoom.
Hi, good evening, committee and council members. My name is Melanie Four with Upwards Government Division. I want to thank the Human Services Committee for their thoughtful recommendation of our Boost program and just here to share how the program can bolster childcare providers and working families in Federal Way. For context, Upwards represents over 260,000 childcare providers nationwide, including over 60 in Federal Way. We've helped over 3 million families find care, including my own, and are very experienced working with government agencies on the federal, state, and local levels. So the goal of our Boost program is to equip low to moderate income micro-enterprise childcare providers, so basically in-home daycares, with personalized coaching and digital tools so they can streamline their operations, grow revenue, create local jobs, and improve the quality and inclusivity of care. Boost is entirely free for providers and families both during and beyond the program year. As you may know, nearly half of the children under age 6 in Federal Way can't access licensed care, which leaves thousands of families struggling to fully participate in the workforce. Meanwhile, childcare providers in Federal Way earn on average $19.50 an hour, placing them in the bottom 3% of wage earners statewide, which makes it very difficult for them to sustain, let alone grow their business. City Council recently heard from a provider who asked the city for help. I've heard from many as well. The providers love caring for children, but they need help with marketing, curriculum planning, managing day-to-day operations, and more. This is exactly what Boost was created to solve. So how it works is each provider is paired with a bilingual care specialist. So this is a dedicated mentor who helps them build a business growth plan, create custom marketing materials, and work through a curriculum of best practices for running a successful, sustainable daycare long-term. We also guide them through our child care management software system, which is a digital platform that automates enrollment, billing, curriculum planning, and more, which saves providers over 10 hours a week, helps reduce burnout, and again, remains free even after the program year. So with the recommendation of $120,000 in CDBG funding, along with Upwards contribution, we can bolster 15 family child care providers in Federal Way, create 5 new teaching assistant positions, and expand care to over 210 families in Federal Way. Upwards also offers a teaching assistant subsidy to help these providers expand capacity. So again, Boost Impact goes beyond the providers. Any family in Federal Way would be able to get 24/7 support from our care specialists, including emergency backup care within 24 hours. Boost is a proven model we've launched in over 30 cities and counties nationwide, including Bellevue, which is heading into its 2nd year, where we've exceeded every projected outcome and are entering, hopefully, our 3rd year. So I'll close with a testimonial from Margaret Lockinger, who's a Bellevue provider. She says, I've been incredibly impressed with the Boost program. Their resources and support have been invaluable to my family home child care, from curriculum materials to staff funding assistance. The team's always responsive, respectful, and genuinely dedicated to helping me succeed. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions, both as a representative of Upwards and a mom who will always be grateful for the Upwards providers who cared for my little ones, allowing me to be here with you this evening. Thank you again.
All right, thank you. All right. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, I don't have a question for any of the presenters, but the question I have is, this money doesn't get allocated until from a year from now, is the way I understand it. We approve it, but we're not going to get any of this money until next October with the federal budget. Does that hang people? I mean, you know, that we approve this and they can't start their project because if the federal government decides not to send it to us? I mean, is that the correct understanding, or am I missing something?
Councilmember Dovey, why don't we go ahead and close the public hearing first, and then we'll go ahead with that. So if there's no further comments, the public hearing is closed. Okay, now for Councilmember Dovey's question, and so.
Maybe we should wait for the presentation, maybe I'm ahead of myself.
That is okay. Let me pull it up. Let's see. I know it's press enter. No, but I have to pull it up. It needs to be shared.
I just wanted to present to you guys as well, so. You'll see my face for a little bit. We're not allowed to share on our.
Thank you for your patience. Good evening, council members, committee members. My name is Angelina Allen Pesey with the Community Development Department. I wanted to respond to Councilmember Dovey's question regarding the 2026 CDBG funds. It is true. Currently, right now, we are waiting until after the government shutdown to have a sense of whether or not we're going to be able to receive CDBG funds. At this time, the city did receive its 2025 allocation, which is, I'll be sharing on the slides, before the shutdown began. But in terms of long-term, in terms of stability of the Community Development Block Grant Program, it always will remain a concern because these are federal dollars. So in terms of when we will expect to perhaps receive or see the 2026 funding, we'll just have to wait until the shutdown ends and then see what happens between Congress and the Senate as far as the final budget that will roll out. So you're correct as far as asking the question whether or not what we are proposing right now for 2026, these are proposed. It's always subject to availability of funds, and so we will need to wait until after we hear more from Washington in terms of what will happen with the future of CDBG. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, but what is I guess the other question, what is the timing generally of the funds? Isn't it like a year later after we approve it?
It has been a year later. For example, for the 2025 funding, we just received it in September prior to the government shutting down. It's been longer. The city was notified back in May what the allocation would be, but we had to wait until the fall before that took place. So given these delays, it could be around the same time frame, or it could be longer.
So the ones that are awarded the space in line, based on when we get the money, would all know that it's on you if you spend it and we don't get it? I mean, we're authorizing 100,000 here, 300,000 there, 60,000 here, and these are lifelines to these organizations. And if they move forward on anticipation that we passed it when we vote on it, and something happens, we have a disclaimer that says, hey, if we don't get the money, there's no money to pass out. Is that?
Pretty much, but we also let them know when we're sending letters to confirm that everything is subject to availability of funding, and we don't encourage any of the organizations to go out to spend money because there's never a guarantee when we will receive it. And when we do receive it, then we will go through the process of entering into contract agreements, et cetera.
As long as that, we're in a different world these days, so as long as that's everybody's expectation, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. So let me move on with the policy question. The policy question essentially is, should City Council approve the 2026 Community Development Block Grant action? The priorities haven't changed in the consolidated/action plan. We're looking at economic development and job growth, affordable housing, homelessness, and also looking at establishing and maintaining a living environment. In terms of the funding for this year, as I mentioned, the CDBG allocation for 2025 is a little more than $788,000. You'll see the various allocations in terms of what is for public service, what is for planning and admin, and what is also for SURF. In terms of the planning and admin, we cannot spend less in planning and admin and public services, but we can spend a little bit more in SURF. So for example, if we spent less in planning and admin, we could add those resources to SURF so we'd have more money. As far as the potential SURF recommendations that were made by the Human Services Commission, this is a list of those organizations. I won't read them to you, but you will see on the screen the number of organizations that have been here to provide public comment and that also are also eligible to potentially receive funding. The only organization that did not was recommended for funding was the Kenyan Immigrant Community Services. But for the most part, all the organizations are expected to receive funding once we receive the 2026 funding from HUD. In terms of next steps, we would have another council meeting. It'd be the second public hearing. That is a typo. It says October 24th. It's actually October 21st, so I apologize. And then we would take it to council for final decision on November 5th. That is the conclusion of my presentation. Are there any questions?
Yeah. One question right off. So there were 9 applicants for the SURF and 3 for the CDBG Public Services Grant? Service grant?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's all the applicants? There weren't any, because I think that most of the time there's been a lot more applicants than that, hasn't there?
Most of the time, yes. I mean, we actually had 11. However, because they did not meet the deadline, there was a time frame that they had to meet, and they did not meet that. So unfortunately, we could not consider those applicants. So we had a total of 9, and out of the 9, 8 were recommended for funding.
Okay, all right. Council Member Honda.
Thank you. I have a few questions. So on page 67 or 33, it has 2 page numbers. It says Weyerhaeuser property, and it says that IRG says that their proposed development will create over 3,000 jobs. Can you tell me what that proposed development might be?
That's a very good question. This is the consolidated plan / action plan. So the consolidated plan was approved by council for the 2025-2029 year. I would have to get more information on what was referred in that document and then present that at the next meeting next week.
Okay, great. And then on the, so I'm looking at 2 things. I'm looking at the handout that I had printed out. And so on here it says El Centro de la Raza Mercado, CDBG funding 160. And on the list, there's another list and it says El Centro de la Raza Business Opportunity Center, 100,000.
Correct. Those are 2 different years. So for example, the Mercado project with El Centro, they are going to be receiving 2025 funding through CDBG. So we'll be drafting and entering into an agreement with them. And for the 2026 for the small business development, that is for the proposed for next year, assuming we receive community development block grant funds.
Okay, so that's, so then all of these on these are for 2025?
So for 2025 funding, those organizations that you see listed will be able to receive 2025 funding because those funds were received in September.
Okay.
For 2026, we will have to wait another year to see what transpires with HUD.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, I just wanted some clarification. I think your question to Councilmember Dovey might have been the answer. So when we receive, these are grants that are reimbursable, correct?
They are, yes.
Okay, so they actually spend the money, then bring in receipts, then we reimburse those receipts?
Actually, what happens, once we know we have the funding, the city is the one who puts up the funding first. And then when we receive the receipts, then the city gets reimbursed.
All right, so that was actually my question right there. So we actually front the money, and then the government, then the federal government then reimburses us
That's
once we
correct.
show them.
Yes.
What is the lag time usually between all those processes? Or is that what you just mentioned? It was not until March renew, and then,
So the city for 2025, as an example, received a letter from HUD in May, just to let us know that this was what the allocation was going to be. We didn't actually receive anything until September, where they were sharing with us the notification of, we are ready to, enter in an agreement, and we did that about mid-September. And so the money is in like a line of credit, and we now can tap into that as far as when we enter into agreement. So we enter into the contracts. Once the contracts are signed, then organizations can start working, and they will send us the invoices, and then we can bill HUD for what has been received from those invoices, if that makes sense.
but we pay those in the meantime, right?
We do.
Okay.
We
And
haven't yet.
Understood. And does that come out of your guys' budget, or is there a separate budget set up, a fund set up aside for this CBGG?
That's a very good question. I would have to defer to finance on how they set up the account code for the CDBG. But suffice it to say, there is a way. I would just have to defer to finance on that.
So worst case scenario, at an $800,000 grant amount, we may front $800,000 and wait for the Federal Reserve, the federal government then to reimburse us for that $800,000.
For
Worst case
2025, we're in good shape.
Okay.
Because we have that funding. But if you're looking at 2026, we have to wait and see what the allocation will look like.
No, I was just looking for the mechanism, like 25 would be, it could be up to 800,000 could be taken out of our savings account to pay for the money that's been.
Correct.
And then we have to wait. The gap time could be, a couple $1,000s to $100,000 in interest, so I'm just interested on how that works. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Councilmember Dovey.
A question, and let's say that we don't get all the money, we get 100,000 short, then you just deduct each one by their percentage of the shortage?
We would have to go back and have the Human Services Commission make another recommendation based on if we do receive a decrease in funding.
So it would be a recommendation that somebody may not get all the money comes out of one organization?
That's potential,
It's not
yes.
equally deducted from each one that's been
We
awarded?
could do that, but I would defer to the Human Services Commission. We could make a recommendation to them, and then they can make that decision to then advise you all.
And Paul brings up a good question. What's the lag time between when we distribute the money and when we get it? Are we talking 60 days, 90 days, 120 days? Not that just out of
It
curiosity.
can vary between 3 to 6 months.
So we, as a city, because I've never asked this question in all my years here, so we front-end it even when we get the letter, and then we carry the cost of the money until the federal government pays?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
If I can answer that quick question, this was before Angelina's time. When it comes to a reduction, I believe it is a percentage base. So if 100,000 is reduced out of 800,000, whatever that percentage is, it's applied across the board to all the recipients.
Well, that's the way I would think you would do it, instead of let somebody go back and rethink it, but, because you've given everybody an expectation of this is what they're gonna get, and then we get shorted for some reason, there's a government shutdown, or, they decide that we're not gonna do this at the back there, and we're short, you would just take that by the percentage, and everybody gets that much less, instead of having somebody carry the burden. But that's why I asked the question.
It came up because everyone's concerned with budget cuts with the federal government, and I believe it was part of the original annual action plan that the council considered in April or May of this year, and I believe that language was included to where we put everyone on notice, hey, if you apply for a grant and then HUD reduces what we think we're going to be getting, it's going to be across the board a percentage, so.
Yeah. Councilmember Honda.
So the awards that were decided for 2025 are in good shape,
Yes, they are.
and we're not cutting any of those.
No, we're not.
And they can go ahead with their projects.
As soon as they have a contract, yes, they can.
So how many of them have their contracts?
We are drafting those as
Oh.
we speak.
Okay. And the government shutdown has nothing to do with the 2025?
It does not, because the city has received it. I understand it's a line of credit,
Okay,
so it's in the line of credit.
thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. And with that, do we have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed 2026 CDBG Annual Action Plan to the October 21st, 2025 for the second public hearing and November 5th, 2025 business agenda for approval.
I second the motion. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is approved unanimously. All right. Thank you very much. And it's great to have you on board, Angelina. All right. On to item G, Federal Way Arts Commission grant recommendations. And let's see. I think this is This is Kevin Hutchison, right? Oh, yep, yep. Okay, hold on. Let me get to the right place here also. Go ahead.
Right.
All right.
Good evening, Chair Walsh, fellow council members. Kevin Hutchinson, Recreation Manager in the Parks Department. The policy question you have in front of you today is, should council approve the Federal Way Arts Commission 2026 grant funding recommendations? Your options considered are approve the proposed arts grant funding recommendations, or 2, do not approve Arts Commission grant funding recommendation and provide direction to staff. The mayor's recommendation is option 1. The Federal Way Arts Commission is funded through the general fund. This grant is actually, there's a typo there, it's $42,500 has been allocated for the 2025-26 biennium budget. We met with the staff in the Arts Commission last month to look over applications, and the commission recommended the following for these resident artist groups. Center Stage at $15,000, Federal Way Symphony at $10,000, Federal Way Chorale at $6,000, the African Young Dreamers Empowerment Program International at $4,000, Rosebud CTC at $4,000, Federal Way Youth Symphony at $2,000, and the Jet Cities at $1,500. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Right. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. Can you tell us how much each group asked for, and if there were any organizations that were not funded, and why?
So, yes, I can. Center Stage requested $25,000 for 2026. The Chorale $6,000, Jet Cities $2,300, the Federal Way Symphony $25,000, Rosebud at $5,000, the Youth Orchestra at $5,000, and there was one, I believe one that was not funded, or sorry, there was 2 that were not funded. One was an out-of-state from Indiana that we wouldn't fund because they're not from Federal Way. And I believe the other one was, do you remember, Karen? There were 4 of them, okay.
The dance group from Fife. Yes, there was children's dance, Evergreen Ballet, the one from out of town, and the Allied Arts.
The Children's Dance, Allied Arts, and another dance program from Fife.
So, having served on the Arts Commission and having gone through this process of deciding how much each organization gets per year, I know it's difficult, and I know there's never enough funding. Can you tell me, I just got these applications at 4:30, so I haven't had time to go through them. They weren't in the packet. And I'd like to go through them before I make a decision tonight on this. But can you tell me if Rosebud, which I have not read theirs yet, they asked for how much? Oh, no, the Youth Symphony asked for $5,000 and they were awarded $2,000?
I believe that is correct. I believe I'll have to look at the application. I don't have that in front of me, but 4, they got 4,000, correct. They requested 5, they got 4.
That's Rosebud.
Yep,
And the Federal Way Youth Symphony requested 5 and got 2.
correct.
They requested 4, okay. I did have a chance to read through one before the meeting, which was a symphony, and they very clearly said, somewhere in here, that it was difficult to know what they needed without having the MOUs. And so my next question is, when do we expect the MOUs to be given to these organizations, and how is that coming along?
I think their actual contracts. Oh, you mean the MOUs for?
Yes, because that is part of their budget and how much they might need for the year.
Good evening. Their MOUs are currently through December 31st, 2026, and on FedRAC you'll see another extension to take them through June 2026. After that, there isn't any funding allocated for fall of 26 season or 27, but that's something that we can discuss further at FedRAC when we push them out to June 26 to take care of their entire season that they're currently in.
So have they been told that information?
They have.
And what are we funding them at for January to June?
The MOUs cover about $130,000 across all of the resident artist groups. It's different for each one. They were each negotiated based off of what their specific organization needed, but in total, about $130,000 a year.
And it's to provide for use of the Performing Arts Center?
Yeah, they get complete usage, so every single one of those MOUs, again, is negotiated individually. Some of them have, like, Symphony, I think, has 5 performances and 5 free rehearsals. If they go outside of that, if they want to have an additional rehearsal or a separate performance, they would pay for that at the resident artist organization rates. I think the Chorale negotiated 2 performances and 2 rehearsals based off of what their need was and what their history from the time the PAC opened until we negotiated those was. We kind of did an average and then asked them if that worked and then created a budget based off that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember McDaniels.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, you said it was 45,000, what was it,
42,500.
Okay, what was last year's?
42,500.
So same amount?
Correct.
Is the year before about the same too?
Correct, yeah.
So, I'll leave it at that, thank you.
So this is apart and separate from the money that they get in the MOUs?
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. I'm not familiar with the African Young Dreamers Empowerment Program International. Have they been funded before?
They have not been funded. This is their first time. They actually scored one of the highest out of the rubrics, and so we decided to bring them along and, yeah, give them $4,000, I believe.
What are they? I'm familiar with the others. What are they?
They're a program that helps youth from Africa in our public schools and in Federal Way.
Jack, I've been to their previous 3 events that they are asking for funding for. And it's really pretty cool. The first 2 were at Federal Way High School, and the last one was at Life Church. Is it Life Church?
Life Christian?
Yeah. And it's done in the summer, and they have a cultural art program where the youth from different countries in Africa come together, and they do dancing, and they're a fashion show, or they have a meal. It's quite, it's really cool.
Right.
And if you have a chance to go to it next year, I would really recommend it. It's, I always learn a lot there, and very impressed with what they have been able to do.
All right, fantastic. Hopefully they use a little bit of that 4,000 on publicity, so more of us know about it. So, anyway, all right. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, this is just could we, in the future, when we do this grant, line up the MOUs so we're looking at the whole picture? I mean, we're only giving 42,000 to people, but we also do the MOUs, which 130,000, which I think I just heard. I mean, I think we'd get a better picture of what we're actually supporting the arts with, instead of a one-time snapshot on this 42, and then we come back next year or whatever for the 130. It'd be nice to kind of match them up so we really can see clearly what it is. Because you'll find, I think, like Center Stage, which is at Knutson Center, gets this, and somebody like Jet Cities, I'm just picking a name, is here and they have an MOU. So the numbers become different than what we see right here when you calculate in what the discount for the service at the PAC is.
And we changed our timeline this year. The Arts Commission
Yeah,
decided to move everything up to get ahead of everything. So
But
that
maybe
those
in
groups-
26 or whatever, you can match them up so it's a clearer picture.
Okay.
All right, yeah, I think that's a great idea as well. Give us a better understanding of it. All right, do we have a motion?
So I will make the motion, but I'm going to change it a little bit, so, because I have not had the opportunity to read through these, and I want to do that. I move to forward the proposed Arts Commission grant funding recommendations to the October 21st, 2025 business agenda for approval.
All right.
The reason being is I still may have quite a few questions on this, and I'd like the opportunity to ask those questions.
Okay, fair enough. I can go with that, so I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, so it'll be on the business agenda.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, next, we have item H. Item H, 2025-2026 Port of Seattle Economic Development Partnership Grant Request to Accept. Meredith Neal.
Thank you very much. So, good evening, committee. The policy question tonight is whether the city council should authorize staff to accept the grant. We previously reviewed this at the July 22nd FedRAC meeting and the August 12th council meeting, but I'll give you a quick grant program overview. So this is for the Port of Seattle Economic Development Partnership Grant, which is a non-competitive grant. Each city in the county is awarded a certain amount of money based on the size of the city. This year, the grant changed from an annual grant to a biennial grant. So we have been awarded $60,000 each year for 2025 and 2026, which is the grant cycle. 50% match is required by the city, and up to 25% of the grant award can be in-kind resources. So here are the two that we applied for, the two grant projects. So the first project is the Federal Way Public Market Business Plan and Marketing Outreach. $51,000 was requested from the Port of Seattle grant. $26,000 is the match from the city, and that match is through a grant that was approved by City Council on August 12th, 2025. So the total for that is $77,000 that would help the Federal Way Public Market Group with their business plan and marketing outreach. The second project is the FIFA World Cup event and marketing. So this is for a free 3-day community celebration that will be at the Performing Arts and Events Center in June. We requested $69,000 from the Port of Seattle through this grant, with a $9,000 monetary match from the city through the Economic Development Department's funds, and then a $25,000 in-kind match from the city. So that's staff hours and event resources. So the two options to consider are to forward this request to accept the grant to the October 21st consent agenda, or not to forward it and provide different direction to staff.
Hey, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. Can you go back to the slide on the FIFA? Okay, right there.
There you go.
So I think that's awesome that we're going to do something. I think every city's going to do something. Hopefully, they're not all on the same days, or, because there are 6 games or something.
Yeah, so there are a number of games that are being played in Seattle, and so the plan would be to overlap this with one of the games being played in Seattle.
Okay. Are we working with other cities so that maybe we don't overlap?
We've been talking to other cities. I would say, in this regard, we're a little bit ahead of most of the other cities that I've talked to, where they haven't formalized as much of a plan of what they're going to do yet. They're in the early stages. So we are planning a launch party event. We're calling it the Kickin' It launch party event on November 14th, and that's when we would unveil details about the city's festival, the dates, logo, a website that we're building with information about it. And the hope is that maybe if we sort of get out there before some of the other cities, that if they start looking and they're like, ooh, we're going to do a different weekend, we're going to pick a different time to not overlap, especially with the South King County cities.
That would be awesome. The $25,000 in-kind match for city staff, is that just because you needed to come up with an amount, or will there be more staff hours needed, or?
It's highly possible that there'll be more staff hours needed. That was just what got us to sort of the matching that we could use for in-kind. We figured that for a 3-day festival that's going to use a number of different departments of staff, both in the planning and during the festival itself, everything from emergency management coming up with, safety plans and that type of thing, and PD, and clearly, parks and public works, and that we figured 25,000 was probably easily achievable in-kind donations and was not going to be a stretch for hours worked by staff.
And I like to see a budget that has staff time included in it, because we don't generally do that.
Yep.
And it's very important to figure out how much an event costs the city to
absolutely.
do, so.
Yeah,
thank you
no,
very
once we accept this grant and sort of start, we've been holding back on a lot of the planning because we want to be able to use the in-kind match time. So once we accept the grant and receive it, then we'll start planning in earnest and really figuring out and tightening up the budget.
Thank you.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, my question is about clarification. I know this came to FedRAC. Was it just for information then, or did we vote on it then, or what's the difference between
It
this?
originally came to approve applying for the grant.
Oh, okay.
So then we applied for the grant, we did all the paperwork with the Port of Seattle. Now it's coming back
Acceptance.
for accepting the grant so that we can sign off on the final
At
paperwork.
least it was an easy answer. Thanks.
Yep, sure.
All right, sounds, Council President.
Thank you. I was waiting to hear what their questions were. So can you tell me, so it's at the PAC, but I'm trying to picture how this is going to look. Is it going to be just in the banquet area? Are you going to be on stage? Is it going to be a large screen?
Yeah, so we'll unveil some more of the details on November 14th, but the idea is that it would be both inside the PAC, utilizing all of the space internally in the PAC, so both the theater area to play sort of the primary match, and then the rest of the space, as well as the grounds around there. So there would be some outside activation, and a stage that would have different programming throughout it, food trucks, that type of thing.
And there's no charge to the public?
Correct. The goal is that everything, other than food that people are purchasing and whatnot, that any of the activities there would be free of charge.
And we're not worried about any chaos occurring or any?
Well,
who knows?
That's,
I mean, depending on who wins.
It is football. Well, and that has been part of the discussion, and so that's why certainly there's been discussion about, coordinating all of it. The group that does Red, White, and Blues every year has sort of weighed in on what they've seen for other community festivals and starting to plan. So there will be plans in place for, for security, for other types of issues if you get a rowdy crowd.
Yeah, I was just wondering, if people couldn't get in and they were upset,
Yeah.
they had to be outside, and it'd be good to have some kind of a screen outside as well, if it's not raining, so that they can watch it outside as well.
Yeah, we're definitely, I think, planning on some sort of outside viewing area. It probably will be TVs, mainly because the big inflatable screens, the larger screens, the projectors, you can't see them very well during the day. And there are very few of them in the state that you can actually see during the day for those larger rental screens. So it might just be that it's a couple of large TVs or something else.
Yeah, we were at a AWC event this afternoon, Association of Washington City, and one of the cities was talking about having some kind of an outdoor event is what I was picturing. Susan, was that the outdoor kind of an event? Was that in Maple Valley where they were going to have an outdoor event?
That is Renton.
In Renton, okay, and they were going to have a large grotto kind of a thing?
Yeah, they're creating it sounds like a new park, and it'll be first used for FIFA to have an outdoor event. When I attended, we had a skateboard meeting, an all transportation meeting last month in Seattle, and it was all about FIFA. And the FIFA representative said that if a city was going to do something, if they were going to charge a fee to attend, then they might have to pay a fee to FIFA.
Right, so that's
But if they're not charging anything, FIFA's not going to charge the jurisdiction.
Yeah, so there's been, it's sort of, they're slowly rolling out more information. Places that are playing the game might have to pay for watch party rights. And there are a lot of different variables there. So if it's going to be under 1,000 people, if it's a nonprofit or a city that's playing it, and if it's a free event you're not charging for, then you wouldn't have to pay for watch party rights. It's possible that we'll probably tip that scale. You know, the PAC itself holds about 1,000 people, and if we have people outside, but we'll take a look at that as they release. They have not released the cost yet for what the watch party rights are going to be. So they're planning to release those in December.
And
Sounds
on
like-
December 5th, they're releasing the names of the teams who are coming.
Correct, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of on pause until December, which is, I think, why a lot of cities are waiting to figure out what they're going to do and what it looks like.
So, and I was wondering, you know, since we have soccer in Celebration Park, if we wouldn't have some kind of events going on there, where the kids would have soccer games and then could, you know, also transfer over to the PAC.
Yeah, there's been some preliminary conversation about either having some sort of tournaments or in some way working with a number of the different soccer organizations that Parks already works with to do some sort of activation, either right around that space or in other spaces,
So that
in other parks.
should be good for our restaurants in the area and hotels, more so than just food vendor trucks.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
It sounds like that if FIFA has if there's a FIFA fee.
Yep.
Of over 1,000, we may need to have a event inside the PAC and a separate event outside the PAC.
Yeah,
Just
we'll
a-
definitely, we'll be looking at all of that as we, you know, get into the planning this fall.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We need a motion?
Yes, we need a motion.
These are such long sentences. Okay. I move to forward the proposed request to accept the 2025-26 Port of Seattle Economic Development Partnership Grant to the October 21st consent agenda for approval.
I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. All right. Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you.
All right, next we have item I, grant acceptance for the Department of Commerce Investment Grade Audit for Facilities, DBC, City Hall, PAEC, FWCC. Now, that's a mouthful, too. So, all right.
Oh, I got a lot of mouthfuls for you tonight. Thank you, Chair Walsh, council members. Going to start with a quick introduction. We have Clara Bell. Clara Bell is our new capital projects manager in the Parks Department that City Council approved in the budget with use of levy funds. And on this project, Clara Bell is the one who submitted for the grant, and she's already earned a grant, and hopefully you're going to accept that tonight. But with that, we worked hand in hand in the grant, but I give, most of the grant work was done by Clara Bell, so she's here to answer if there's any specific questions on the grant. But the policy question before you tonight is, should the city council authorize the mayor to execute contracts accepting a Washington Department of Commerce grants and execute contracts with Association of Washington Cities, the Department of Enterprise Services, and McDonald Miller to provide investment-grade audits at City Hall, Dumas Space Center, Federal Way Community Center, and the Performing Arts and Events Center. Now, there's a mouthful for you. And so,
Maybe a little cooler.
all of this ties with the clean building legislation. As you know, we've been grappling with trying to come into compliance with the clean building legislation, hence why we've brought on a capital project manager and a facilities supervisor. And part of the difficulty is funding to do some of the work that needs to be done for the clean building legislation. I do want to remind City Council that the clean building legislation, we don't have an option. We need to comply with it, and if we don't comply with it, it's punitive. I don't have a current figure, but it's in the range of potentially $100,000 on this building if we don't meet it annually. And I'd not want to get into punitive. So we need to comply with this legislation, and we've been a little concerned with that. With that being said, about 3-4 months ago, you guys approved a contract for the ESCO program, and that helps us leverage the Department of Enterprise Services to have a preferred service provider, and that our preferred service provider is McDonald Miller. We selected that. That was part of that program. We've been a long-term customer of Mac Miller. They do great work for us and keep our maintenance crew not having to jump at hoops because they're keeping it maintained. So with that being said, we had to do some benchmarking on all these buildings to find out whether we're coming into or meeting the energy efficiency targets that are required out of the clean building legislation. With that being said, we have some initial data. We're still benchmarking that data. We had some initial from just trends we had in the system, and Mac Miller's full, and you need a full year of that comprehensive trending to validate where your building sits in that EUI standard is what it's referred to. And so with that being said, we also needed to go to one step further, and that was this investment grade audit. And we're kind of on a timing, and we're leveraging multiple agencies here. As I said, DES, Association of Washington Cities is who's providing the grants. We're entering into the grants with them for the money, but also with DES and Mac Miller to provide these investment grade audits. You were given copies of those proposals of those audits, and they are comprehensive. They take 107 days to complete. We are on a tight timeline for that, hence why we're asking you guys for approval to not only accept the grants, but then enter into contracts on these investment grade proposals. The 107 days they will go through, and they will detail out where our potentials for improvements are. Generally speaking, we likely think we are going to be within range on City Hall and the Performing Arts and Event Center. Therefore, we don't need to make any upgrades, improvements. We're hitting it. We just got to stay there. But over time, equipment's going to degrade, and knowing where those opportunities are very important, right? So we were just looking for money for the community center initially because, one, we knew we were in competition for this aquatics grant to redo some of the mechanical systems, but we also know we're not meeting our efficiency targets there. So came across in that ESSO contract with Mac Miller, they said, hey, AWC's got a grant out there. We came last month, he gave us permission to go out for the grant. And Clarabelle submitted for that grant, and we have received that grant to the tune of about $261,000. So initially, we wouldn't have wanted to or needed to do the investment grade audits all at the same time, but since we were able to find money to do them all, it's in our best interest to do them. What it's going to do is it'll give us a clear and open picture of where our buildings are sitting and where we can make investments in that building to get them into compliance with the energy use standards. So long story short, we've got an opportunity to get some free money to do some audits to better position ourselves to be in compliance with those grants. So LEAF, you guys just approved the acceptance of the grant with LEAF. We are concurrently working with Mac Miller to help us identify where those replacement pumps, boilers, and what those upgrades or what those renovations should be so that we are improving our energy consumption, minimizing that or reducing it as much as possible so that we can get that building into compliance with the clean building standards. So a lot of information there. I hope it made sense. But bottom line, we're asking you to give us authorization to accept the grant, enter into contracts with Association of Washington Cities to get that money, and then entering in with DES and Mac Miller to provide these investment grade audits. And with that, I will entertain any questions.
First off, Clarabelle, welcome to Federal Way. Good to have you here, and it looks like you've been earning your keep already. Before we go to other questions, I have a question. I mean, in the subject on the in the packet, it has AWC Energy Audit Grant Program, talks about that grant there. Then in the financial impacts, it talks about the cost of the audit, but it doesn't mention the grant in the, where it talks about financial impacts. It says the cost of the audit is $309,000 plus, but it doesn't mention the
amount of the grant.
the amount of the grant at all. And so the amount of, what's the amount of the grant once again?
And so all of that was partially based on our timing. We had to submit information for packets and get across your desk prior to even know that we had been awarded this grant. The day the packets were published was the day we found out that we got the grant accepted. And so the figure the figure in your memo was 309,000. And part of that was because a requirement of the AWC grant had two additional stipulations. I can't recite those right now. Clarabelle may be able to, but I think for the sake of conversation, it doesn't matter. It turns out after we kind of negotiated, Mac Miller kind of negotiated with AWC on our behalf to help get these grants, that they could let go of those two stipulations, therefore not needed, which lowered the grant award to more in that $261,000 range.
Okay, so with this agenda item, the action is really doing two things. One, it's doing,
It's approving the grant and authoring us to enter into contract to receive that grant money, and then entering into contracts to allow Mac Miller to do these investment grade audits.
so it's really two
Yes.
separate, that combine.
That
things,
combine
all-
into
all
one,
in
and it's all about juggling timelines of getting the grant submitted, getting notification on the grant, and these audits need to be done based on the AWC grant timelines by April 30th. It does look like we've got a little extension on that until about June, but that was originally when we were applying for the grant. They said all work's had to be done by April. Well, if you look at the calendar, we were gonna hit the deadline if we got approval next Tuesday at the council meeting by like 7 days. We had 114 on the calendar, we need 107 to do these audits. So this is about us leveraging some free money to do work we need to do, but we're juggling timeline and trying to make this all happen because it's the right thing for our buildings to come in compliance with the smart building legislation, and we're doing it almost at no cost to the city or no general fund impact.
So basically about a 50,000 general fund impact rather than a 309,000. So, all right. And let's start, Councilmember.
Yes, that's correct, I apologize.
Okay, Councilmember Dovey.
So the question is, we take this grant, we do the project, we have minimal costs, and we find out we have to spend $2 million at Dumas Bay, or whatever. Are we then required to do the work, or do we tear the building down, or, I mean, the problem when you do these grants, you might get, the information you get may not be what you want to hear, and it makes you do different things.
Oh, we're not gonna like any of the information we probably hear,
Okay.
and it's all gonna cost us money.
Yeah, but we're.
But that's maintenance, and that's what, years of deferred maintenance, that's what we should be expecting, really.
Right, but when we, right now we have the unknown, other than we know we have to do something someday, based on all the presentations you and John have given and everybody else. Now we take the free money, which is great. We now know specifically what we have to do, and you just said that the law says we have to perform these, I think I heard you say, by the new green energy or whatever it is, we have to make sure we're in compliance. And all of a sudden, we get some number that's, I don't know, $7 million. Not saying we would, but it's some number that we hadn't planned on. It's not in our budgets. Then do we have to go back and rework our budgets so we're in compliant, because now we know? And
So-
cut somewhere else to make
Yeah.
this audit
So
work?
we are not required to do anything that comes out of these proposals.
Oh, that's not what I heard.
So,
Okay.
so these proposals are investment grade audits. These are gonna identify where we can make improvements to our building to get within the requirements of the clean building legislation. Clean building legislation is separate all on its own. These audits will identify opportunities. then it's at our discretion or as we have funding available to make these investments. And we're talking about 4 different buildings. We have 4 buildings that need to come into compliance. 2 were pretty much there, 2 we know we need to make improvements. We have strong feelings that the community center, by making these investments in the pumps and the boilers, I mean, those are energy hogs, they're 15-year-old systems and they're on their last leg. So just replacing all of that stuff is gonna improve efficiency. I can't give you a tenfold, but you know, it's by a great deal. Dumas Bay Center is a whole nother can of worms. And so this body had instructed or had us, we needed to do a building envelope study. We had been reaching out and putting together a scope of work to do a building envelope study. We're talking big numbers here. But we found out about these investment grade audits. This is going to be a portion of that envelope study that we're, number 1, getting done for free potentially with this grant, and 2, it's going to reduce the scope that we need to put out to a consultant to finish that full building envelope study on Dumas Bay.
So if I understand you correctly, we're penalized if we do not have the audit done.
No. We're penalized if we do not meet the clean building legislation. And those targets are still out there. There's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 buildings. I gave a presentation on this about a year ago to you guys, and I've been entrenched in this since the end of 2020, 2021, and I still have to refer to my notes. This is cumbersome legislation that we're having to meet. And so I said all that, and now I lost what your question was. Councilmember Walsh.
So you say that there's penalties?
Yes,
That
yes.
the penalties are for not reaching those standards?
So it's for our building not meeting the EIU standards, the clean building standards. And so a tier 1 building is, 50 to 100,000 square feet. I'm just shooting off the top of my head. Don't quote me on these because I read it off the pamphlet each time. If you can weigh in or let me know. But we have timelines on all these. One's 2027, one's 2028, one's 2029, based on the square footage of your building. And so we've got to meet by those dates based on the size of your building. And if we are not meeting that, then there is a punitive effect to that. Now, this is all new legislation, and this is impacting lots of municipalities. So is there potential are we gonna get dinged right off the bat? I think you're gonna make your initial submittal. You're either hitting it or you're not. And if you're not, there's gonna be follow-up to us on you have so long to get this corrected or within there, and you're gonna work on a plan with the state to get the building in compliance. So is it punitive right off the gate? Again, no city, no municipality has had to meet this legislation yet. We've been ramping up to it for the past 5 to 6 years, and 2027 is kind of that big date when this is gonna be due. And so I don't have money to make the repairs I need, let alone to pay fines for our buildings not performing. And so, again, this is serious business, and we're doing our due diligence to make sure our buildings are performing at their best, meeting the clean building standards, but we also know that a couple of buildings aren't. And so we got to know what investments do we need to make to these buildings so that we can hit those state-required targets. And we don't know what we don't know until we do this investment grade audit. We're blindfolded. So let's take the blindfold off, do these audits, and find out what we're really looking at here.
All right, thank you. Councilman McDaniel.
Thank you. I thought I was clear, and then I thought I was unclear, and we'll figure it out real quick here. Dovey actually asked most of them. So first things first, this is not the envelope audit, these are energy audits, correct?
These are investment grade audits that are looking at your major mechanical systems, your electrical, your HVAC, your boilers, your plumbing, all of those major utility stubs that are where you can make improvements. That's what those are looking at. Now,
What would a difference between that and an envelope study then? What is an envelope study?
we're,
that's
like
different?
on these, we're not gonna get into insulation or R value or roof or all those other systems that make up your building.
Gotcha.
These are the ones that are kind of sucking the energy.
All right, and then we're doing 4 buildings, the City Hall, Dumas Bay, Community Center, PAC.
Yes, sir.
All right, 44,000 for City Hall, Dumas Bay 77, Community Center's 91, and PAC's roughly 47. It's 309 for the audit, but we have a grant for 261, which is that roughly
So
50,000.
the 309 was a number that we had to put in there when I had mentioned AWC had 2 stipulations in their contract that you had to meet. Can't recite those to you right this second, but so we added the money into the staff memo thinking that, hey, we've got to ask for all of this, and that was kind of our thought. As Mac Miller negotiated on our behalf and talking with Association of Washington Cities, the tight line, you know, we had 115 days to do 107 days worth of work. They got us a little extension on that grant so we can go into June. And those 2 stipulations were taken out, so it was about $40,000 or $50,000 that it was gonna cost Mac Miller to meet those, but since now they're not required, those were backed off and not a portion of the grant.
So-
The grant's about 261,688 is the number that I had prior to, and they were EMPs, and again, I got notes here, but what EMP stands for, I'd have to get back to you.
So it's not actually 50,000 out of our funds, it's actually gonna be about that, whatever the grant is
So
actually.
none of
gonna
this,
cover.
none of this money is out of our funds.
Okay.
This is gonna be Association of Washington City giving us $261,000 to do all 4 of these studies, so we know where we're at. And here's the one piece I did forget to mention. Anything that's identified, if we move forward and say, at this building, we can replace a VAV in here, just, it's gonna be way more than that. But replace this VAV is gonna be $100,000. We can take the amount that this investment grade audit, and it will come off the price of that project. So that's another bonus of doing these investment grade audits.
Is that if we have them do the work?
Well, Mac Miller would do our work because that's
Okay.
who we did the ESCO contract with, and we selected them as our preferred provider.
Gotcha.
And so, they get some incentive out of it, we get some incentive out of it, and so it's kind of a win, but it's a way for us to leverage these funds even further.
Got you on that one. And the only time it's punitive is not with the results for this, is if we don't hit the deadlines once we know what we have to hit.
Yeah, if our buildings aren't meeting there's an energy quotient that comes up with, you know, and it's based on our trending, energy consumption, R value, all these different things go into a formula, and you meet this target, you know, kind of like a grade book, you know, you're 70%, 80%, 90%, somewhere, you know, wherever your building lands, as long as you're good and you're within the acceptable range, no fines. But if you're below, again, like I say, I don't think they're gonna fine you right out of the gate, but you're gonna have to work on a plan with the state to get the building compliant or within tolerances.
Gotcha. Clear as mud. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So, when they do the audit on this building, will they take into effect the roof that we've been trying to replace for a number of years?
No, ma'am. The roof is not, this is kind of the major utilities, you know, your plumbing, your electrical, HVAC, but the roof is not part of an investment grade audit.
But are we not losing energy through the roof that is leaking and has all sorts of problems? It's not,
We have insulation up there, and I can't say like we've got this hole up there and we're just losing energy. Is it as efficient as it should be, and has some of the insulation lost some of its R value because it's gotten wet because of the leaks? Yes. But again, this investment grade audit does not cover that. That's more of a building envelope study or a further audit. This is what we could get paid for, and so this is kind of what we're looking to enter into. We know what we need to do on the roof, we just don't have the money to pay for it.
so it says that the owner needs to make available the HVAC systems. So the HVAC system in this building,
So we make it available for inspection, and so they're gonna go through the 2 rooftop units, the 77 VAVs. They're gonna look and make sure actuators are working. Are they, you know, what is all the equipment working to its full capability? And if it's not, documenting that and giving us a plan so that all of our equipment can be working at peak efficiency.
So let's say that they find that something is just really very serious, that they would recommend that it be replaced immediately. If that were to happen, maybe at Dumas Bay, and it is something that we really couldn't keep the building open for, do you anticipate anything like that happening?
I'm not anticipating anything like that. Again, they're gonna identify issues that are wrong. Now, could you find a sticky block of mold like we found in the Federal Way locker room? Again, that's not what this isn't a full building envelope study. It's not an environmental study. This is looking for where are the buildings, where are the energy hogs? You know, you got a 20-year-old furnace in your house, it's gonna burn a lot more electricity than a brand new one, right? Same thing is what they're doing here, is they're looking for opportunities for us to get more energy efficient that would then allow the building to get, score higher to the clean building legislation, hence getting you into compliance and not having to pay punitive fines.
So at Dumas Bay, the windows are pretty old, and I'm sure that we're losing a lot of energy
Sure,
through
absolutely.
the windows. Because we already know that, can we tell them they don't need to look at that?
They're not looking at the windows. The windows is not a major energy sucker. Windows don't use electricity. So,
I realize they don't use electricity, but we're losing.
correct. And so part of the building envelope study, we will have another contractor look at the roof at Dumas, look at the windows, look at the insulation, but that is not part of this investment grade audit. This investment grade audit is anything that's, you know, kind of your utility hogs.
So, can I just, so we are looking at things that use energy, not things where energy may be lost.
Correct.
We're just simply looking at things that use energy, not energy
Correct.
lost.
Correct.
Okay.
Got that.
And so this all has to be done, all 4 buildings, it says by the end of May.
These investment grade audits need to be done by
Right.
May, and that's because of AWC's grant criteria. If they give us the grant, they're expecting this to be done by that time frame.
So then we'll get a recommendation as a council as to what they have found and what should be.
We will get a report on each of these facilities with their findings.
Right, thank you.
Right, Council President.
So we're going from the Department of Commerce, it's providing the grant.
Nope, AWC is providing this grant.
It says from the Department of Commerce through the.
Oh, you're right. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
I apologize.
That's all right. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. So, it's obviously, we've gone through the legislature to direct the Department of Commerce to provide a grant for an engineering firm like McDonald Miller to come out and do, I love these terms, investment grade audit. Lord knows what that means. I'm trying, and clean building standards. I mean, they come up with these. To do something that we intuitively know we've got a problem, and we've got plumbing problems, and we've got other problems. I mean, I'm just venting here because we obviously have some folks that are going to be benefiting from this. I'm glad we got the grant. We're going to have to do it because it's coming from the legislature. But for me, it's a little frustrating.
Oh, it's a lot frustrating on a certain level. This is, like I say, this is cumbersome to just get to the point where we can adhere to it. And so the thing that's great about this, though, is we're going to have a real good snapshot of where our buildings are.
Yeah, well, thank you, Clarabelle, for an interesting name, but thank you. I hope I'm saying that properly. But thank you for getting the grant. That was good work. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Right. Councilmember Honda.
Oh, I have a motion.
I would love to entertain a motion.
I move to forward the proposed authorization to accept the grant and execute contracts for investment grade audits to the October 21st, 2026 consent agenda for approval.
I second. All in favor, say aye.
It's 25. There's a typo on the agenda bill. Otherwise, we're kicking this until the whole nother year.
As corrected by the city attorney.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, maybe we already did that, but anyway, so,
Council, appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thank
Apologize
you.
for some of my hieroglyphics in presentation.
all right, thank you. All right, so L is taken care of. So J, the PAC update. Stacia.
Good evening. Oh, let me get this up. Good evening, Chair Walsh, Council President Kochmar, committee, and council members. I'm Stacia Winters, the General Manager at the Federal Way Performing Arts and Event Center. I'm here tonight to do my monthly update on the PAC for our month of August. The event attendance in August was about 2,600 people. Year to date, that brings our event attendance to 29,000 people. Theater tickets sold in August was 1,200 tickets, which brings our year-to-date to 12,000 tickets. This is up from about 11,800 in 2024, so we're seeing an increase there. We also are seeing about a 9,000 person increase from 2024 in just general event attendance. So that's obviously we're having a large increase in non-ticketed events this year than we did last year. This is our usage days for August. You did have 23 usage days in August. Versus 16. Some of those events include we finished our summer movie series with Arts Foundation Federal Way, so we had 2 of those free summer movies. We also had a sold-out concert, the 60s Flashback Show, as well as we had 2 Federal Way Public Schools meetings, their admin retreat, and their new teacher breakfast that they do with us every year, as well as a number of private events as well. Our event highlight this month was our Missoula Children's Theater Camp that is supported and funded by Arts Foundation Federal Way. This, we started last year, and it is our 2nd annual one. We are planning to continue. This year, we had 54 students participate in the cast. About 40% of these students returned from last year, so that was exciting to see so many of them back. And 38% of our participants, it was their very first time ever doing any sort of performing arts or performing on a live stage. So that was very exciting to have all of them participate. This process is a week-long process for these kids. They arrive on Monday and they do their auditions, and then they do 2 rehearsals a day for the rest of the week all the way through Friday. We also have additional workshops that they can take part in, including an acting workshop, an improv workshop, and a playwriting workshop this year. So that was really fun and unique. And then on Saturday, they come and they do 2 performances for their friends and family. And they also have a cast party where they all get t-shirts and posters and they get to kind of sign them. And it's very fun to celebrate them at the end of the week. This year, we had 367 people come and attend and see their performances. Some of the feedback that we got, I wanted to share as well. One parent said it was her daughter's first ever audition for anything after watching so many plays and musicals. They had a great experience. It was run very smoothly and everybody was able to participate. Another specifically commented on workshops and said that their daughter had a wonderful time at the workshop and she seemed especially confident about going up on stage after learning all about some acting skills. A final one that I thought was really special, as we are always striving for inclusivity and trying to help as many people that come through the PAC as we can. This was received from a parent. A huge thank you to the Missoula Children's Theater and PAC staff and volunteers for a wonderful and welcoming experience. My son is neurodivergent, and I wasn't sure how he would handle the audition and performance experience, but he wanted to give it a shot, and it was fantastic. He had an amazing time from start to finish and is so proud of himself. We are super proud too. I can't thank you enough for sharing this outlet for his creativity and the opportunity to try something new. I'm thankful for the ability to hang out in the theater all week just in case he needed extra support, but he was clear that he had it. Thank you for creating a welcoming and safe place. Thank you as well to the PAC team who noticed he sometimes needs a little extra support and offering it in a kind and awesome way. He is excited to come back next year. So we had a wonderful time and we're so excited to hopefully have these students back next year. We are already working on our dates for the camp next year. For revenue for August, ticket revenue was just under $30,000. Rental revenue was at $60,000. Facility fees, almost $7,000. And food and beverage revenue, $38,000. With other revenue is sponsorships and some other kind of miscellaneous revenues that don't fit in a clean category. It was $139,000, bringing our year-to-date revenue to $1,386,000. As you can see, this is about a $300,000 increase from last year. Our event operating income, as a reminder, this is our kind of net event income, so our net revenue, our gross revenue minus our event expenses. For August 2025, this was $50,000. Year to date, we are at $386,000, which compared to last year's $235,000. So it's a variance of $150,000 of our net revenue that we are increasing this year, which is super exciting to see. Financials year to date, like I said, total revenue was $1.3 million. Total event expenses was just under $1 million. Total operating expenses, just over $1 million. And then our net investment into the PAC this year so far has been $611,000. As for the goals that we have at the PAC, this year we are actually currently on track to hit all of them, so that's very exciting. As of August, for our ticket revenue, we were 54% accomplished. I am expecting to hit that goal. Event space rental revenue, we are already 106% accomplished as of August, 107% accomplished in theater rental revenue, and 67% accomplished in food and beverage. For attendance, as of August, we were 74% accomplished. I, again, am anticipating hitting this, as well as our usage days. We were 81% accomplished. For our free community events, as of August, we had already held 7 free community events, and we have 2 more planned for the year. So we have already hit that and have a few more happening. Event metrics, Arts for Youth, we have held 4 so far this year. We have 2 more before the end of the year, so we will hit that goal. Nonprofit, our goal is 10 annually. We have already held 30, and we have some additional ones happening. Banquets and meetings, we are 70% accomplished as of August, and we'll hit that goal by the end of the year. And weddings, we were 75% accomplished, and we actually just contracted another wedding before the end of the year, so we're gonna hit that goal as well and have 4 weddings this year. And then some of our upcoming events that are going to be wonderful. We have Celtic Thunder coming up on 10/25. This show is actually already sold out. It sold out about 2 months ago. So we're really excited and talking to them already next year about maybe some multiple shows so that we can, hit the needs that we have in the community. We also have Led Zeppelin and Snow White with the Grand Kiev Ballet. A couple other big ones we have coming up are Black Jacket Symphony, which they are doing an AC/DC album this year, which is going to be really fun and exciting. We also have an Eagles tribute, Take It to the Limit. They are returning from last year, and they were really popular last year. They're doing great on their ticket sales. And we have Robert Craig returning as well on November 10th, and that is also likely to be a sellout as well. We're getting close to a sellout already on that one, so we're very excited. And I'm happy to take any questions at that.
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. On the August calendar, it looks like Jet Cities had 6 rehearsals in the PAC. When they have a rehearsal, is that in the theater or is that in the entryway or, the big room?
It totally depends. So their MOU and their contract with us does stipulate that it's kind of wherever we have available for their rehearsal, and also if we don't have availability for them, they don't rehearse in the facility that week. So it looks like they had probably all of them in the theater for this month, but sometimes they're in the meeting rooms, sometimes they're up in the patrons lounge. They work around the other events that we have.
Okay, and then I have 2 other questions. One, is the military band coming back this year, do you know?
I am working on one currently. I don't have it officially locked in quite yet, so I'm not going to announce it, but I am working on one, yes.
Okay. And are the ushers at the Performing Arts Center, are they paid or are they volunteers?
They're paid staff. All staff at the PAC is paid staff.
Is there a way we could get volunteers who might want to volunteer for that and then be able to, listen to a program or whatever?
So with our company, I'm not allowed to have volunteer staff just for liability purposes and things. We do sometimes work with organizations that they have volunteers, and they work hand in hand with our staff, but I'm not able to with my company.
So let's say that Symphony, if they wanted to have volunteers helping your staff, they could. It would be under their insurance.
Yeah. If they have coverage to cover that kind of thing, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Paul.
Yeah. The net investment of $600,000, when you say year-to-date, is that through August?
That is through August, yes.
So you still have September, October, November, December, so you still got a quarter of the year to
Correct,
go?
yes.
What do you think that number will actually be this year?
A little over, I'm estimating about 900 to 950.
So you think it's gonna go up 300 from here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I guess we'll wait and see. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, these shows that are sold out, does that include the balcony?
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, so they're sold out, sold out.
Sold out, yes.
All right, fantastic. All right, great job. I love these numbers. I love these numbers
you so
and
much.
appreciate it. Thank you. Any, Council
So,
President?
any chance we could have some country western?
I'm working on some shows, I know. I'm hoping to get, I'm working on a couple for next year, actually. So hopefully getting some, they're in some specific theaters right now that I'm trying to pull some away to us.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Susan?
For a wedding, when there's a wedding there, is it generally the ceremony and then a reception dinner kind of thing?
It kind of depends. Sometimes we just do the wedding reception and they have a ceremony offsite. A lot of times at like a church or something. But then one of our weddings this year has had a ceremony on site as well.
And is that generally in the theater?
Not this year. I know that they have previously before my tenure at the PAC, but they haven't since I've been there. It's been, actually, this was a very small wedding. They actually did it up in the Patrons Lounge, the one that did the ceremony and the dinner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Stacia, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's appreciated. All right. So next, we have item K, City of Federal Way Policy on Display of Non-Governmental Flags at City Hall.
Okay, good evening, Chairman Wash, Council President Kochmar, committee members, and fellow council members. My name is Adam Gadberry, I'm the Assistant City Attorney. Tonight, just presenting to you for information purposes the city's flag raising policy. Back in June of 20, the council debated whether to adopt a formal flag raising policy. This predates my time. My understanding is the council at that time decided to decline adopting a formal policy by the council and punt it to the mayor to adopt a policy, which is what he did in June of that year. The flagpoles in front of the city hall are limited public forum as a result, meaning that they're not open for all, open to all for as expressions of free speech. They're reserved for expressions of government speech. They're non-controversial and unifying themes and must be accompanied by a mayoral proclamation. At times, the mayor may direct the display of banners and flags of local and regional support teams as well. Typically, the three flags that are flown at City Hall are the U.S. flag, the state of Washington State's flag, and then the city flag. And then RCW 1.20.017 provides direction from the legislature on when to fly the POW MIA flag. I have a brief presentation, and obviously we'll answer any questions that the council may have. The applicable flag statutes for Washington, RCW 35A.21.180 is applicable to code cities. And there instructs the city to display the United States flag and the flag of Washington State. And then, as I already mentioned, 1.20.017 dictates when the POW MIA flag is flown. I can read that list if you're interested. It's a variety of different holidays, April 9th, March 30th, Armed Forces Day, Memorial Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, National Korean War Veterans Armistice Day, National POW MIA Recognition Day in September, Veterans Day on November 11th, Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day on December 7th. And then if a holiday happens to fall on a Sunday, the flag for the POW MIA flag is then flown on the preceding Friday. A summary of the city's policy is that it's reserved as expressions for government speech only. Groups may submit requests to the mayor's office, but they must be non-controversial and unifying themes or organizations. They must also be accompanied by a mayoral proclamation. Civic groups are to provide the flags, and they may be no larger than 4 feet by 6 feet. The city typically does not, as far as I'm aware, purchase those flags to keep. It's provided by the groups. And then, as I already said, the mayor may call for a special display of banners for local and regional sports teams. Recent case law. This happened after the city adopted this policy in 2020, but it was a Shurtleff v. Boston case from 22. In that case, Boston had a come one, come all policy, meaning they had no policy. So any group could just come to the city, raise their flag, and everything was hunky-dory until eventually one group requested to fly a Christian flag. The city building manager had concerns of violations of the First Amendment's Establishment Clause, so they declined to raise the flag, prompting litigation. And the court really focused on whether or not the city had a policy or a lack of policy, whether it was a public forum or a limited public forum. In Boston's case, it was not a limited public forum, it was just a full-on public forum. So at that point, there were First Amendment free speech considerations, which carried the day. The court stated the city had a policy in place, like what City of Federal Way has currently, which creates a limited public forum, then they'd be within their right. The city would be within its rights to decline raising whatever flag was being requested. So since then, it's a relatively recent case. It's not even 3 years old at this point, but neither the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals nor Washington District Courts have reviewed the issue further. So. With that, I will entertain any questions this body may have.
All right, Councilmember Daniel.
Yeah, thank you. Well, obviously, I brought it forward, so I'll speak to it. I thank you for, Chair, at least putting it on the agenda to have a conversation about. I did not get the agenda till today, so I did not notice it was for non-action. I was recommended by someone who has a lot more experience in this area that sometimes committees are the best places to have conversations and not usually in the open forum of a council meeting. I will start off by saying I'm not very happy. I'm a little upset, actually. I went through a lot of steps, procedures to make sure that I followed the rules, and I got backing from everybody. I've had meetings with members on this council. I've had meetings with the mayor. I've had meetings with the business administrator. I've had multiple meetings with legal on this subject. I shot an email out when I was approved to have this on there with certain questions. Those questions were what present the current policy, a list of all flag submissions since the mayor's flag policy. I assume that's not something I'll be seeing tonight?
I apologize. I did not.
No need to apologize.
No,
I assume you did not see the email I showed you earlier today.
Correct. I do not have that information. I can certainly get it and provide it to you.
Yeah, the other item I had on there was a list of submissions that were denied. So the thing that I have the biggest issue on this one is, since being on council, I've learned a lot. I have learned a lot about what happens on local government. And one of the things I've learned when it comes to politics and local government, never cede power. The council ceded power to the mayor on this particular option, and I disagree with that. I disagree with having one person make a decision when we have 7 people who reach out and speak for the city and represent the city. It now puts it on one person to make all the decisions. I have a problem with that one to start with. The second question I have is the flags that are mentioned in the mayor's policy of displaying non-governmental flags at City Hall state City Hall. I have seen flags flown on 320th, and I have questions I would also like you to answer. Who okayed to have flags changed on 320th? And where do those flags come from? It states that the flags are supposed to be provided by the group. I'd like to know who provided the flags that were flown on 320th also. I noticed that I did not believe I saw them fly this year. If I did, it was for a shorter time than usual. I take issue with the fact that this states it is a public forum and governmental speech, which means you can censure people you do not like, and I do not like that concept being in here also. That is something that is written in here. It also states, and was not brought up, that the mayor may order a special interest flag to be flown for longer than 7 days when appropriate. Well, it does not define appropriate. And one of the rulings that was part of that legal case you stated is it has to define it in detail. Stating in appropriate does not really allow people to understand what is actually being meant by that word. It's a little bit of a loosey way of phrasing it. My original request had an action. My action, which I had asked legal about to make sure that I phrased it correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong on the legal status for this. I was told that committees cannot take action. Action has to be done at a city business meeting, a council meeting, a regular meeting. But in order to get it to that point where something could be written up, it has to go to a business meeting. So if you do not have the ability to have action to move something forward to a business meeting, the only alternative I have is to walk something on. I will be walking this on, and I will be using Councilmember Assessor Dawson as my second on it. I will be sending an email out on that tomorrow to let the staff know that and the mayor know that. I would like to know, and something I found was interesting, having a lawyer up there answering questions is phenomenal for me. I have gotten tens of thousands of dollars of legal knowledge, and I am so grateful for you guys to provide that information to me. I know you guys are impartial, and you just tell us what the law is, and I appreciate that. When provided this one, the email that went out was given to Councilmember Walsh, Mayor Farrell, Administrator Davis, President Kochmar, Ryan Call, Amy Gladden, and Councilmember Assessor Dawson. When you were provided this information to prepare for this, who provided that information to you?
I was forwarded, I think, a prior email chain in September, so I did not see I think that email was dated on October 2nd.
Yeah.
So I did not see that email on the 2nd, but Ryan Call forwarded me the email chain in September.
Would it be a September 16th probably email then? I did not show you the full chain. I just showed you the pertinent one. There was the email that I sent you that I'll be forwarding forward. Actually goes back to August 16th. Then I re-forwarded on 26th. Got a return on, August 26th. Then on September 16th, I re-forwarded it, and then on September 30th, I got my response. So, and then October 2nd is when I responded to that one. So, my concern and my issue with this is flags have become a battleground for a lot of people. I have been at the local meeting with our Federated Public Schools on July 22nd of 2025 where this was discussed, and it was a very contentious issue. The request I'm having the council look at is originally I only wanted the American flag. Code says that you have to have the Washington flag also. I was referred and recommended that I also added the city flag to it. My request will be to limit it to only those 3 flags for the city hall. I do not want us stepping into this battleground anymore. And I don't think it's appropriate that we choose who is a winner and loser. And if so, I'd like to know when we're going to have my Gadsden flag flown. I'd like to know when the Russian flag will be flown, the Palestinian flag will be flown, and the Confederate flag will be flown. And what is the reason and justification that we do not fly other flags other than the ones that have been approved? That is the main thing. The only flag that represents every single person in this city is that flag right there. The other 2, okay, you can add those to it. That is the only flag. That's the flag that I will live, die for, nothing else. All these other flags just cause conflict, and they do not bring us into unity. Only one flag unites us, and it's that flag right there. That is why I asked us to come forward. I want us to be united as a city, and only one flag gives anybody else the right to fly their flag. None of the flags that we fly right now, all these special flags, give us the right to fly that flag. That flag provides their rights. It's a one-way street, and I would like to see that codified in law so that we do not have this argument in the future. We are council who have the responsibility of 100,000 souls, and we are here to make the hard decisions. I do not bring forward to the council simple decisions. You guys selected me. I picked the 3 things that I thought were the most important from the time that I've been on here, and I will fight for those items. Win or lose is not the point. It's having the conversation and having the discussion, in my mind, that is the most important. I thank you for your time.
Well,
Thank you.
there's no reason why you can't have Lydia second this at the council meeting and then ask for it to be an action item. There's no reason we can do that. Is that correct, Heather?
According to the council rules, that agenda item can be added. I guess for clarification, it's like, are you just wanting a discussion, or are you wanting to?
No, I have a motion.
Policy, like, at the actual council meeting?
Yeah, so in the email that you did not see, the motion would be to move forward a proposed resolution to the October. The resolution would be to limit the flags to just those 3.
And I think that, personally, I think that you should just add this item to the agenda, and then, as an action item, and then submit your proposal. You can give us all a copy if you like, and then we can have a discussion and vote it up or down.
And the
We've
reason
done
why I
that
went through this
before.
process is because in order for legal to write up anything, it had to be an action in council. And I
Well,
was trying to follow the steps, but
Sure.
I would take your
I
advice and
understand
send that.
And we're having a discussion right now. This is, although it's information, it is a discussion. And so if there's, number of times in the past, we've put things on the agenda and voted it up or down. I don't have an issue with that, so, I mean, does anybody else have anything they want to say?
Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, I would just ask, like you just said, what is the motion? And you just said you want to fly, a motion to fly the American flag, the Washington flag, and the City of Federal Way flag in front of
Correct.
City Hall. Those would be the limited 3,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think that'd be a great motion for someone to bring forward.
From what I see here, it looks like that the RCWs state the MIA-POW flag.
On those certain days, I think is
On
what I
those
saw.
certain days, too,
Yeah.
so.
The only, if I can finish, the only thing I would ask, and then maybe if that is the motion and it goes in this council and it's voted up or down or however it's voted, then the council would have to maybe want to think about if we were going to have flags at another place, a flag park or something, that's a whole nother discussion that we might want to tag on later.
My only,
And I wouldn't want that to be an amendment to your, I'd rather vote up and down on what you are asking, but that would be just something that might come on the agenda later on.
it will be not in my time, but my only question, and I will make it from that point, at that point, is if it's governmental speech, then I will be opposed to it, because then it will limit, and it will not be true free speech. And that's the whole issue I have, is the governmental side.
A non-governmental flagpole.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And another, I'm sorry. I just finished my
Go
thought,
ahead.
which was, actually, I think this is better for you this way, because if, let's see, for example, if 2 people on the committee voted yes or no, and it went to council as an information item, or, on the consent agenda, there's no real discussion. You'd have to pull it anyway to have a discussion. So either way, it's fine.
Yeah, it is correct, but like I said, it was, I
have no idea what happened.
well, yeah, well, I have my assumptions, and I'll leave them at that.
Councilmember Honda.
So if we're taking questions for when this comes to the council meeting next week, I've been asked by some people in our community as to why some flags only get to fly for a day or a weekend, and some flags get to fly for an entire month. I'd also be interested to know, since this started in 2020, when the mayor took it over, or when the mayor created his policy, how many people have requested, as Paul has asked, requested to fly a flag, if they were denied, the reason why they were denied, and and how the decision is made, you know, for how long a flag should fly. Or if they should have a ceremony, like an event that is created when the flag goes up the pole, or if it doesn't have an event. But I think a flag pavilion somewhere in the city is a good idea, and it's something, we have talked about a long time ago. I think it's maybe at Celebration Park or someplace where it's more accessible to the city. A lot of people in Federal Way don't even know where City Hall is. I mean, we're kind of in an area where unless you come back here, you have a reason to be in this area, you don't come back here. We have far more accessible areas in the city where it would be viewed by more people.
I have so the flag policy here is that it's written up that he gave us is for flags at City Hall. So I'm just wondering, with flags along 320th and stuff, I mean, how's that? I mean, is there a policy there? And if you are going to bring up something, Paul, I mean, should it include, you know, I mean, all city property or just City Hall or whatever? I mean, that's, you know, and, you know.
The request, thank you for clarifying that. The request would be all city property. And then if you guys change that in the future and find a location that makes more sense, that's more freely available for people, that's a different story at a different time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess my only other question with the current flag policy, it says groups wishing to have a flag displayed by the city will provide a flag, da-da-da-da. And I know that there's been some other flags, I think, flown along 320th and stuff. I mean, did other groups provide those flags, or did the city provide them? I think that'd be an interesting thing.
Which is why I asked for that information too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and an additional question, and I don't know if you asked for it or not, maybe you did. Has the city purchased any of the flags that we have flown, and why did we purchase them if the policy says that they should be purchased by those who have requested that they be flown?
Individual staff or employees can purchase flags though. So it's,
It
I
would be
don't say
nice-
it's a moot.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know who has purchased the
Yeah,
flags.
yeah. And the only other thing, I'm just a quandary on this section 4 here. Only flags that represent non-controversial and unifying themes or organization will be considered for display. And I mean, what may be controversial for one person isn't controversial for another. And so, I mean, that's kind of a, you know, anyway, interesting. So, yeah. Mhm. All right. Yes.
You know, I would hope that when this comes to the council, because Paul's going to bring it up and it's going to be seconded, that we're talking about flags right out here in City Hall. I mean, when we start talking about, I don't know who owns the flags along by the Aquatic Center. I think the issue is, what are we doing at City Hall? And what about, who makes it on flags down 320th? Do we own them? Is that our property, or is that Puget Sound Energy that owns the poles? I mean, there's a whole.
We control those flags because we're the ones
Yeah.
who changed them. So it'll be I guess you could say we can enlighten ourselves on that actual information too.
I guess it would be something where we have a very simple motion where it's directed at what we're talking about, and we don't wander off into what if there's something somewhere else we don't know. I mean, we can legislate something that's very simple to figure out, but some of the questions I'm hearing are, I don't think it's gonna be as clear as mud.
I can answer your questions on campus.
Yeah, could you? 'Cause I don't know.
I consider myself
'Cause I thought it was Seroptimus.
very
that owned those.
knowledgeable about that. In 1990, the Seroptimus Club purchased those flagpoles and put them up. Several years later, after finding it very difficult to get volunteers to change the flags because we were having ROTC youth use ladders along the road to change the flags, that was not safe. We created a document along with the city where there is a document, a contract, and it says the city is responsible for the flagpoles and for the replacing the flags. King County is responsible for the electricity to keep the flags lit because they're required by law to be lit. And the Seroptimus Club is required to hold a yearly Flag Day ceremony. And the contract was voted on many years ago and is still valid to this day. So that is, I hope
you
that
have
answers
3
your
owners.
question. Huh?
So you have 3 owners.
You have 3 groups that work
And we
together.
have 3 owners that have to agree what goes there,
Well, they're
potentially.
potentially,
I mean, so in order to legislate for along that road, we'd have to have King County to agree probably, the city of Federal Way and Seroptimus. So that might take a long time. I'm just,
So it sounds like you want to have his motion reference just City Hall, is that correct?
I just like it really specific so we don't wander off into a whole bunch of different places.
So is that what you want, Paul?
I'll play devil's advocate on this one, just so we can have this conversation. If it was me, and if I didn't like it, if you say City Hall, then the community standard, I'd put my own flag up. Then I'd go down to the, I'm just saying, like, if I say just City Hall, and I don't say city property, then the loophole is, and I would do this personally, I would find a loophole, and I'd say, okay, you didn't say that piece of property, it's legally said only City Hall, I'm gonna go do what I want on that piece of
And I'm not looking for a loophole, I'm just want it pretty specific.
No, I will work on something and send it to those who I can send it to without breaking quorum, and then get feedback.
That'd be great.
Appreciate your guys' input.
Can I respond to a few things that were said? Is that all right? I would be cautious with like a flag garden or some type of a policy in the future regarding that, because depending on how it's crafted, you may inadvertently stumble your way into a Boston situation where you've got good intentions for raising all sorts of flags, but then inevitably you get a group that wants to raise a flag that is kind of a hot skillet, right? And you may get burned on that one when people are like, whoa, I don't know if we want that flag up there, whatever it may be, right? There's, as you've...
The example given to me
as
was
you've
the
hit
Church of Satan.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the stereotype on that, right? But it could be any other group that a majority or a loud minority finds objectionable. I think that dovetails into my other comment. The current policy is not censorship. The current policy just states that we're creating a limited public forum which governs government speech. And government speech is not subject to First Amendment considerations. It's the government itself speaking in a way that denotes the flag being raised. What happened in Boston was a lack of policy. It created a public forum, which then did trigger First Amendment considerations, which then did trigger an unlawful censorship. So the current policy right now insulates the city from litigation that otherwise the city may be faced when certain disfavored groups or controversial groups or just any group that the city may not want to have speak on their behalf, for instance, by raising a flag that could become controversial. So the current policy is a good one in the sense that it creates a limited public forum. The only entity that's speaking with the current policy is the city itself, not John Doe who wants to have a certain flag raised for whatever cause. So the alternative would also be what Councilmember McDaniel was suggesting, which is we're only going to limit it to those 3 flags up there. So that's on one spectrum is one avenue, the current policy, which is a limited public forum, or the other one, which is Boston's, which is no rules, it's the Wild West, come one, come all, but that's going to necessarily eventually invite litigation of some kind if at some point someone says, well, we don't want this flag for any number of valid or invalid reasons. So,
But as soon as you say governmental speech, it is discrimination without the possibility of lawsuit because the government says so. That's literally what this is. The government now decides, the government chooses, whoever it is, what is and what is not, and if you don't like it, you can't sue them.
Well-
Because it's not free speech. But is it really, that's the problem, is when you say it's governmental speech and it gives you guys the legal threat, it's government again hiding behind the law in my mind. Because now they can choose who's the winner and the losers in their minds. They can placate to somebody and not to somebody else. They choose. I don't like the thought that they get to choose anything. But I understand what you're saying.
yeah, I mean, maybe arguments of management, but legally it's not discrimination because it's the government itself
Did they just, they can say yes or they can say no, can't they?
Because it's a limited public forum.
And so they can discriminate against one person, which you guys will not call discrimination because you guys call it governmental speech. I call that discrimination. If you say I will not have that flag up, but I'll have this flag up, you discriminate against one and you chose another.
The government cannot be compelled to speak. So if a third party is coming in to, request,
But it can squash somebody else's ability to speak.
but it's not them speaking, it's the government, it's the government deciding whether it is going to speak.
All right. So I guess when I see what flag.
I know it sounds like splitting hairs.
Oh, no, I get
but-
you.
but
It's the legal battle that I'm not going to, we don't have to worry about. When I see if anybody's been denied, then I'll have an understanding if it's ever been used or not.
Fair enough.
So Paul, could you, I'm sorry, Adam, could his motion be simply any flag that the city would raise would only be the 3 flags? So, and not tying it to a piece of property, but tying it to the action by the city, raising a flag, would only be any one of the 3 or all 3?
I think it would take the council taking back creating its own policy to dictate. I mean, currently, the current policy, the council abdicated this decision because the council.
It'd be a resolution.
I'm sorry?
That was a resolution what Brian recommended.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a way to do it. That's I get very
In the
wordy at times, I
resolu-
apologize, but
Yeah.
yeah, the short answer is yes, so.
But the resolution was required to go to council business for that action to happen. I had a long conversation with Brian multiple times over what the legal process would be. But to have the resolution, you can't do it in committee. You got to do it at council business. But in order to get to council business, there was a process to get it. So my motion will be to make the resolution so that we can be then voted on. So it's going to have to take 2 steps in my mind.
Yeah, and it may be a situation where the council debates what they wanted the policy to be, and then that's the direction to draft the policy, and it circles all the way back around for final adoption is what may need to take place, but.
That was the conversation.
So when the whole flag issue started a few years ago in Washington State, in my free time, I like to watch other council meetings, and there were a number of cities around us that had controversy over having other flags flying in front of City Hall or in their cities. And I would be interested in knowing what other city policies are, so that when if we create a new policy, if that's a decision, that we're not recreating things. We are looking at what best uses of flagpoles in other cities have been, so that we can see what other cities are doing, because this is something that, has come before city councils over the years, and I know that some cities are doing some really unique things, and other cities have had an outright ban on any flags except the 2 or the 3 if they include their city flag. And some cities allow whatever. So it would be interesting to know what other cities are doing.
Sure. I think ultimately, whether we maintain the status quo or whatever change may be made, my recommendation would always be minimizing the human impact on some of these decisions is usually a good one. Not because people are mean-spirited or they're antagonistic, but we all have our implicit biases that we don't even think about. They're baked into who we are. And at times, if you open the door too much, you can stumble your way into a scenario where you end up getting sued because you inadvertently, if you crack the door more than what it currently is, you can create a scenario where sometime in the future, someone will make a judgment call that they think is a good one, but a jury of their peers will respectfully disagree with large dollar signs, right, attached to the end. So my caution, my recommendation would be just whatever we settle on policy-wise, we need to be thinking that worst-case scenario, making sure we put in controls to control how these decisions are made to minimize liability and to minimize the risk the city would bear, especially over something like a flag raising policy or celebration or.
Do you know if any cities in Washington have been sued in the last 5, 6 years over a flag policy?
I checked, in preparation for this, I checked we call it shepherdizing. We just do kind of a case search for decisions subsequent to the Boston case. And like I said earlier, there's been no litigation on this issue since '22. I did not go back the past 20, 30 years to see what has happened elsewhere. The current policy is a very good one. It meets all of our constitutional requirements and concerns. There's no concern right now about violating the Constitution with the current policy. But we can certainly see if someone else 10 years ago was sued. But at least since the Boston case was decided, there's been no litigation that I saw. There's been some in California, but nothing in Washington.
Thank you.
So it sounds to me either that to keep us out of hot water, it either needs to be what it currently is, or maybe what Paul's advocating, that it's just the 3 and one or the other of those.
Those would be the 2 safest policies for sure, because you either create, as this policy has, that limited public forum, which your government's always allowed to restrict speech in a limited public forum within reason. The alternative would be to just limit to those 3, and then at that point, there's no discretionary, well, plus the POW flag, but there's no discretionary judgment calls being made at that stage because you've limited it to those 4 flags, right? So there's no risk at that point of, well, someone came and requested this flag be raised, and someone, the government said no, and there's an equal protection or First Amendment concern. If you restrict it to just those 4 flags or maintain the status quo of a limited public forum, you insulate the city from a liability standpoint.
So if we had a veterans memorial that had flag poles, and on those flag poles, the flag for the Marines flew, or the flag for the Navy or the other services flew, and we vote to limit just to these flags on city property, would that be included? And would they not be able to be flown at?
I think you're getting into why the council probably punted this decision to the mayor's office, because you can end up, when you can hypothetical all sorts of scenarios for a very long time. If the policy is just those 4 flags, then from a flag raising standpoint, strictly speaking, no would probably be my answer, without obviously reading whatever prose language there is. But if the language was explicit that those 4 flags were the only ones to be raised, to avoid scenarios where other groups go, well, what about us, because you're raising these other flags here, that's where you get into a jam, is when you start making exceptions. And once you start making exceptions for this group, then you got to start making exceptions for this group and this group. And then at some point, there is no rule, because you've made so many exceptions, then then we're into a come one, come all scenario. So that's why I said earlier, whether it's status quo or a new policy, needs to be explicit on what those guardrails and guidelines, are.
That was actually the argument at the school board. It kept, what about this flag? What about this flag? Well, if we do this country flag, then we have to add this country flag. Well, it's got to be all the country flags. Well, what about the schools? Well, we got to have all the schools. Well, what schools can't be? And it got to the point that
It's never ending.
It was never ending. It was unrealistic. So that's why I'm like, tight box. And if you guys do that, you need to give it to the VFW, give it to somebody else, and let them do their own flag policy.
And
City needs to stay out of that stuff.
And I wasn't here in 2020. I kind of gathered from conversations that part of why council punted was council did not, and I think justifiably so, want to spend an inordinate amount of time at committee meetings and then council meetings debating this group or this group or this group or this group. Because it's time consuming, there's hurt feelings, and again, you end up getting into a scenario where you start making exceptions for this group and not this group, and that can open yourself up to liability, so.
All right. I think we've actually exhausted that conversation for now. So anyway, thank you very much. So is there any other business?
Council, I have one question. I was at the Local Diversity Commission recently, and there was a new change to agenda items for commissions, commissions. They're now approved by the mayor. I was curious to know if that's for all commissions or just the Diversity Commission. If you guys could maybe look into that, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so the Diversity Commission's agenda is now approved by the mayor?
By the mayor, correct.
Okay.
I'm just curious if it's across the board, if it was just happened to be that group. It was a topic of conversation that night.
Okay.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So, all right. Our next meeting will be December 9th. There is no meeting in November, and we are adjourned.